Let me get to another caller here. Where are we here? Mark in Washington. There we go. Mark in Washington. Welcome to the Mike Malloy Show, sir. What is on your mind tonight?
Well, I'm from. First of all, I would agree with this guy. It shouldn't matter. Whoever wins as long as it's an honest election. But if it was the other way around, exactly opposite, I would still feel the same way because I wanted her to win. But if this happened the opposite way, I would still be wondering, just like he's doing, what's up? Something ain't right.
Yeah.
And
walk me through that timeline. Walk me through that.
Now I'm from Florida over there. Now I got some serious questions. It is sounding better the more I hear exact amount where they don't have to do a recount. That's an interesting little add in there.
It is quite a remarkable. Mark, I got a lot of folks online. Do you have a specific question for John Washburn?
What exactly can be done? What are they going to do about this, and what can be done? And I sure hope somebody looks into this a little closer.
Oh, I think a lot of people are looking. So, good question.
What can be done and what is going to be done about that?
Thanks, Mark. What are the legal options at this point as far as you know them, John Washburn, or at least what are the procedural steps at this point?
Well, the first procedural step is that the canvass has to complete, which it technically hasn't. City of Milwaukee and County of Milwaukee haven't completed their canvass. And then within 3 business days, someone has to ask for a recount. That's the procedural
3 business days after the canvass is completed, and that takes...
After the last canvass is complete. So it's probably going to be tomorrow or Monday when that'll happen.
When the canvass is complete. Now, we had expected these numbers to juggle around and to change a bit as the canvass, as they go back, check the machines, check their totals, check their... I think there was another error that was found also in Waukesha where instead of 32 votes... In New Berlin, right. Instead of 32 votes, it was like 232 votes or something like that, right?
I got one more thing if you got a chance.
Very quickly, Mark.
Yeah, I've been on my little laptop computer in the back. I've got about another 17,000 votes for her sitting in the back on my computer. You can use them.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate that. Take care. Okay, so and at that point,
that's not such a joke. That's the scary part.
Well, that's how they found these. It's remarkable. There needs to be an explanation, and I suspect somebody will be demanding one. But so the canvass finishes. Then there's a 3-day period in which she can ask for a recount. It does not have to be statewide. It can be specific counties.
Yes, it could even be down to the ward and municipal level if she were inclined to do so.
And will they count the votes by hand, the paper ballots by hand at that point, or do they just run them through the same machine, John?
No. The recount procedure says if the ballots are distributed to electors, It basically says that it's going to be run through the machine here again.
But as I read those recount laws...
But what they'll do is they'll first, what the true fight will be is what is going to go through the recount. What's going to go through the machine for the recount? What's in and out for that?
What do you mean? I don't understand.
Well, if the ballots have been distributed to electors and then run through the tabulating machines, the recount of the ballots will be done with the automatic tabulating equipment. Mm-hmm. So the true fight is going to be essentially what ballots to refeed through and which ones not to.
Wouldn't they refeed all ballots through?
You would think so, but I suspect that will be a point of contention.
Okay,
that's just what I'm saying. I can't see how it won't be.
Well, my understanding is that in Wisconsin, a court order is required to have a hand count of votes. I would hope the court, in this case, would require a hand count. That said, even without that, I was going through the procedures, the laws for recounts in Wisconsin, and the candidates are allowed to examine each and every ballot before it is fed back into the optical scan machine. So if it is not an out-and-out hand count, it seems to me that's we'll call that a virtual hand count.
Right, and what they're looking for is those ballots for which the machine might have difficulty reading. Like, for example, someone's marked with their red pen, which the infrared scanners, which they say they're optical, but they're actually infrared, they would have trouble with reading. And so they might have gone through the election the first time as no mark registered, whereas there actually is a mark.
Let me get
that kind of stuff they're in looking for.
Gotcha. Let me get to Mike in Buffalo. I got to get to a break, Mike. So very quickly, your question for John Washburn.
Yeah, can they confiscate her computer, and can they redo this election?
Thanks, Mike. John, can they confiscate? It seems like they ought to. Somebody ought to be quarantining that computer at this point. No?
Yeah, I think I'm not sure. I think the answer to both is no.
Well, they can certainly quarantine it with a court order, I suspect.
Yes, you would have to have a judicial order of some sort, but beyond that, no, I don't think there's any real provision for that.
Seems to me Joanne Kloppenberg ought to get such a court order. All right, stick with us, John Washburn. We're going to get to as many calls as we can after this break. Brad Friedman in for Mike Malloy. Still talking Wisconsin. Stay with us. Yeah. You know who's watching? John Washburn. He's always watching. Award-winning open records activist, election integrity advocate with Fair Elections of Wisconsin, and a David Prosser supporter in this remarkable turn of events in Wisconsin tonight that we're covering. Brad Friedman in for Mike Malloy. 877-520-1150. John, I'm going to try to fly through as many calls here as I possibly can. Neil in Madison, Wisconsin. Welcome to the Mike Malloy Show, Neil. What's on your mind?
I just look at the number that Kloppenberg was given for votes at 3,456. That would be an awful easy number just to pull out of a hat.
3,456.
No one caught that. That's what she was given in her new vote.
You're right.
3,456.
You're right. I'm looking at it. He got 10,859. She got 3,456.
And I have one other question. Maybe you can answer off air.
Okay.
Could the feds step in and investigate this? Would this fall into their area?
Okay.
I'll hang up and listen then.
We'll try to get to both. Thanks for the call. John, any red flags go up there with the number 3,456?
I hadn't noticed that, I'll be honest with you, but they are right next to each other on that top of the keyboard there.
3,456, and the result is he gets the lead with 7,582, and I don't know what the exact number is to avoid the state paying for the recount, but it's...
Yeah, I don't know what the exact total is, but like I said, round numbers... 1.5 million, 7,500 is the cutoff.
7,500, yeah.
As for the feds, well, it's not a federal election, so they certainly don't have that jurisdiction. So you'd have to come up with something under the Civil Rights Act or the National Voting Rights Act.
Voting Rights Act, if there was a violation there.
Yeah, I'm not sure I see anything that would lead there yet.
But the week is young. Let me get to very quickly.
Things change fast here.
They do, apparently. Lively state you live in up there, John Washburn. Bruce in Santa Paula, California. Very quickly, what is your question for John Washburn?
It's just a comment that I was watching the election returns come in, the last roughly 10% of the vote. Mm-hmm. I've never noticed a 7,000 vote lead for either candidate during that entire period.
Well, you wouldn't have, because what she says is that she did not report those numbers originally.
No, I understand that, but my point is that during the regular election returns, there was never. It's a suspiciously large number.
I gotcha.
Okay, there was only 100 votes, 200 votes one way, 300 votes the other way, type of a thing, back and forth.
Got it.
But it never got to 7,500.
Very good.
Yeah, it crested into the high 900s, I think, at one point, and that's about it.
Thanks, Bruce. You're right. Appreciate the call.
Bye-bye.
Let me try to get in Jason in Ohio, the Buckeye State. Welcome to the Mike Malloy Show, Jace. What's on your mind?
How you doing, Brett? I was just going to say that if this clerk, we have the same problem with some of these rural counties in Ohio, where they don't like to distribute the election data. So if this clerk would have published the summary reports that come out of whatever Sequoia uses for their tabulation results, like the previous clerk had put the actual county-wide results, per township on the web. So she would have done that. She would have had this problem. But it looks like, she kept the actual county data to herself, and then nobody can point out to her, hey, you have a column there with 0 votes in it.
Thanks, Jason, for the call. Yeah, the other way that this would have been avoided is if paper ballots were hand counted on election night at the polling place. Then with the results posted before those ballots moved anywhere, there would be no question about the results in Waukesha.
That's far from a rural county. It's the second most populous county in the state.
Yeah, right. So?
And next to Milwaukee County.
Yeah, so?
Well, like I said, you're saying like the rural counties hold out, and it's like, this doesn't match the rural county profile.
Right. Well, exactly. And
but hand counting on election night in broad daylight, or in public would be good. You would certainly notice problems sooner and faster.
Yeah, you sure would, and we would not have these kind of questions. We would notice what the numbers were, and we wouldn't have 0 totals because this stuff would be reported. Okay, I gotta, folks. If you're on the line, stick on the line. I'll try to get to all your calls after this break. I gotta let John Washburn go here. I'm gonna have Tyson Slocum join me in the next hour to discuss Fukushima, but I want to get to everybody's calls as best I can. John, I appreciate your spending the extra time here tonight. I suspect we may be talking maybe even tomorrow, John. John Washburn.
Heads up.
Yeah, well, keep me informed here. WashburnsWorld.blogspot.com or FairElectionsWI.com for more information. We will continue to follow this story. John, thanks for your time tonight, my friend.
Thank you for having me.
All right. As I say, if you're on the line, hang on there, and I'll try to get your calls right after we finish this break. You're listening to Brad Friedman in for Mike Malloy on The Mike Malloy Show.